The modern family. Let us bridge the gap between generations. Let us shape up the modern family. The modern family. The modern family. Join the discussion and give us your feedback. Live with Hatem Al-Abdussalam and Dr. Wa'il Al-Harasi. The modern family.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. In the name of Allah, the most gracious, the most merciful. Peace and blessings be upon our beloved Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Dear listeners, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and welcome to a brand new show today, Saturday, live on 90.4 FM to the Modern Family, your show. And as promised, we have in line for you a brilliant show today on a very important topic. And we have had a lot of interaction with people in Twitter. We have asked people to give us their feedback, and we had very positive feedback. Today's show would be on creating little leaders. Yes, not only future leaders, but leaders from today. This is what we're going to talk today about. And Hatem, I've asked people to contribute and try and be with the show even before we started.
Yes.
And we've had a lot of interactions and comments from our listeners through Twitter. And we're going to go through that. But before that, we would like to introduce our guest, who is a very special guest today, who had to go through a lot to be here with us today. With us today in the show to talk about leadership and creating little leaders is a leader himself in more than one way. He started his career in 1972 in PDO, and then he traveled to the United Kingdom for studies between 74 and 79, and he came back and worked for PDO as a production supervisor, producing our oil from one of the most productive field of all time, Yibal and Huwaisa. Correct? Today with me is my uncle, my dearest uncle, Hamad bin Muhammad bin Saeed Al-Mahrouqi. So welcome to the show, uncle.
Thank you.
I don't know if you're going to call him uncle, but you have to, otherwise I'll kick you out of the show. Okay. He left PDO in 1980 to pursue a career in the Ministry of Defense. He went up the ranks until he headed the Engineering Service Department in the rank of a Brigadier, Amid. Then he left MOD to be a Director General of Electricity Projects in Ministry of Electricity at the time. His career in the government sector came to an end at 1997, but that was not the end of his own career, where he went on to pursue careers on the private sector, including looking after upstream and downstream projects, international projects for Oman Oil, mainly in Russia, Kazakhstan and India. I think if we continue mentioning his CV, that would take an hour and a half of our show. So we'll call it a day now. And I think this is enough. And we would like to welcome you. So assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Thank you very much for inviting me in your show. It's a pleasure.
It's an honor for us to have you here, and we would like to congratulate you for the commence of the month of Ramadan. May Allah make it a blessed month and help me and you and all the Muslims to fast and forgive our sins.
Inshallah, Ameen.
So Hatem,
Yes.
have you prepared anything for the show, or is it the normal? You come here and wait for us to talk.
The normal. The best thing about this show is that the thoughts come during the show. So, inshallah.
So it's intentional that you do that. It's not that you're lazy or anything.
No.
Okay.
I'm not lazy.
Okay. Just to be sure. Sheikh Hamad, leadership. Leadership is not something that people would think of raising children at the age of 2 or even 3 or even 6 years old to be leaders.
Yes.
But I think it is very important subject. Leadership is something that people talk about today, and it becomes the thing in the career world. But we would like to talk about leadership in its broader definition, not every child would grow up to be a leader or a manager or a director in their career. However, we need everyone to have some leadership qualities, because every one of us will be either a brother, a father, a husband, a neighbor, a citizen of a country.
What you're saying is quite true, but at the same time, the basic qualities of the children or individuals required to lead a good and rewarding life. You need to have a child who has gone through the basics of good upbringing,
Yeah.
and in a very in the environment that he sees things which are good. A child, in my opinion, grows up, he sees people doing things and he imitates. A child, if you retort to him by in a very bad way, he will learn maybe that is the way how to speak to people. He will also retort back.
Yes.
And tell you, if you tell him to shut up, he might tell you to shut up also. So he is learning. A child in a very early stages, he is imitating a lot.
As they say, he's a sponge. He observes everything that he sees.
So before he saturates the sponge in the bad words and the bad habits, you need to saturate that sponge with the right attitude, the right opinion, the right. No, at that age he doesn't have an opinion, but he looks at you as a parent,
Role model.
role model and everything. And so how you bring up your child depends on how you yourself behave around the child, and what you teach him and how he sees you also. Behave with other people, behave with your neighbors, behave even dealing with your in day-to-day routine. So it is very important that the child grows up in an environment that is positive and teaches him how to behave when he grows up or she grows up. So it is very important that the parents that start at a very early stage. People think that or believe that the child at the age of 3 months or 6 months or whatever still is not being able to learn things. I don't believe that. I believe a child starts learning at a very early stage. Even when it's a month-old child, you look at him in his eyes straight, and he can easily understand, or maybe in his own mind, he cannot communicate back to you, but the expressions on your face.
Yes.
I'm talking this from experience myself, from my own children, and from my own upbringing. So it is from experience and not just a thought at the moment.
Yeah. Bringing up children, some might think is a complex issue, especially if we want to instill leadership qualities. But I think you have a different view of that. You think it's actually it goes back to basics. It's the basics that would bring the best out of a child. It's going back to the basics which will create a child or an adult with leadership qualities. Could you please elaborate and take us through your thoughts on this?
Yes, nobody is born as a leader.
Mm-hmm.
Even if you look at the world leaders today, they are groomed to become leaders in the end.
Yeah.
At a certain age they reach, maybe when they finish high school, and they start being groomed how to become a leader, how to behave as a royalty, and so on and so forth. And therefore it goes back. The same principle is with the normal day-to-day layman, a child who doesn't have a royalty background or presidential background or whatever. It's the basics that's really are very important in my opinion. Mm-hmm. How you bring up your child, and teaching them the values of life. When you speak to them, giving them an opportunity to express themselves, and also to tell them why certain things are done. Okay, and therefore it is very important that when we are around the child and when we teach them the right things. And we give them an opportunity to express themselves. Now, having said that, for example, in the past, in the old age, or during my time as a child, we were brought up in a very strict regime.
Household.
Household, and the parents were very quick to retort back to you, just to tell you, do what you are told and go ahead with it, and don't ask questions.
Yes.
Now, okay, that is one extreme. The other extreme that we see now, that the children are becoming the leaders of the house and misbehaving
in a negative way, of course.
In a negative way,
yeah.
And the parents, they are just willing to please the child in every possible way. Therefore, they don't want to spank the child. They don't want to tell them, no, don't do that, and stand firm by that decision. And therefore, there must be somewhere in between, where you need to have that line where you say, okay, this is the line where the child cannot cross, or you as a parent also should not cross.
I always struggle with this issue, because you see people who do not understand where to draw the line between raising a child to be confident, which is one of the qualities of a healthy human being and a healthy leader, to be confident, to show self-confidence, and between being respectful to the elderly, no matter how old, how many days or years you're older, but to show some sort of respect and not to answer back. Some people do not know where to differentiate, and they just let their children loose and answer back. And when they answer back, they actually smile. Oh, my child does that. He's so confident in himself.
This is all because I think parents nowadays, they are more focusing on the material values. Both parents in many households are working. They're spending a lot of time outside their homes. They come back home, they are very tired. They don't spend a lot of time with children, and they leave the children to be brought up by television, for example. And then they hear words in television, and I've personally witnessed a child who used a foul language, who has heard it from the television, to speak back to his parent. And I was very surprised. And this is all because parents, I think, don't spend quality time with their children. And therefore, if they don't do that and lead by example and be with their child and see what the children learn every day, they are throwing them away into a society which is very cruel.
Exactly. I was going to say that, because if you let the child do whatever he wants and you think that is confidence, I think on the other hand, it's always a two-sided coin. On the other side of the coin, what happens is that this child has never been challenged.
Yes.
Everything is given, and you always listen, and you're smiling to him, and you're happy that he's talented and all confident. Once he is or she into the real world, they are faced by people who would not take no for an answer, and you will need to really challenge, and these children will just break down, and the confidence just goes down the drain.
The mention of no as an answer, I think, is a very good example, because even in management, a good manager is the one who also knows how to say no when he's faced with a situation or individual and everything. If you are just saying yes to every request or everything that is in front of your desk, that is not a good manager, in my opinion.
Yeah.
You see, therefore, the children need to know when they are told no, it means no. And I think also another area which nowadays we see in our own households, in our children and many households, is that a child is literally bribed to do something.
Mm.
If you do this, I will buy you this. If you do this, I will take you to this place. I think, to me, that is bribery.
Yeah.
And it is not very good, because that child may grow up thinking that he needs to be rewarded for every little thing that he does. If we are not careful, we will have that child grow up going to do in his normal job maybe or whatever, he needs some sort of incentive for every little thing that he does, forgetting that he is there as an employee and he needs to be doing this as a matter of fact.
I think we live in this world already when we see employees not ready to take any extra responsibility sometimes. Yeah, and if you gauge the public today, it's what people expect. They always talk about incentives, they talk about extra pay without expecting to do any more effort.
Yes,
and I think that is evident already.
It is evident, and I think it our partly it's a human nature that people like to get more for less in general. You see, but also it has come to a stage now, I think, where if we are not careful, we will even make that situation worse because the children, the way we bring them up.
Yeah.
I think we need to remind our listeners of our numbers. They can always call us and share their thoughts. Our numbers is 24602058, 24602058. In my opinion, there is a school of thought that many parents prescribe to, and this school of thought, they believe that 20% of the population of the world are leaders, are born leaders, and the rest are followers, which is not quite true, because today we are taught that leaders can be taught to become leaders. Normal people can be taught to become leaders.
Could be groomed,
of course, they cannot be exactly like the leaders who are born as leaders, but they can be trained and they can earn the qualities to become leaders. And the other thing is that parents think that leadership skills are not very, very important when the child is growing up, because to them leadership means is translated to being in charge, taking over things, and not failing to understand that leadership comes in many forms,
but
and many skills are associated with leadership.
You could still have to use the word in charge, but not necessarily in charge of other people. Being in charge of your own behavior, of your self-composure, self-control. Yeah, that is a leadership quality. In that sense, maybe you could still use being in charge.
Yeah, but
in charge of other people and being authoritarian, that is something
I
don't
think
agree
the right
with.
question to ask is, do parents understand what does leadership mean in the household? Do they understand? If the parents can't understand what does leadership mean, how can they translate these qualities to their children when it comes to leading themselves?
Do you think people do understand the meaning of leadership? And in your definition, how do you find leadership at home before being outside the house?
Bringing up children and understanding leadership with them is not very easy. It's not something that you can say, oh, my child is being a leader just like that. You see. And first of all, are you yourself being a leader, in the household for the child? And most of the societies in the past, most of them, it doesn't matter whether it is Islamic or non-Islamic, children have always been used to do household chores.
Yeah.
And even washing the dishes sometimes at a very early stage and that sort of thing. Getting up from wherever they sit down to eat, if it is a table or sitting down cross-legged and picking up, cleaning the place you have eaten and picking up the plates and going. Now, how many children will they get up and pick the plate and take it where it's supposed to be kept for washing? How many of them will go back and tell another child, oh, you need to bring your plate with you? And pick up that also, and pick all the whatever you have dropped, food on the floor or on the table. I mean, that in itself could be a leading quality.
Yeah.
When a child has already recognized, for example, the instructions that he has been given, or without being given instruction, he has seen his parent getting up and taking his plate with him. This is a very basic example in the household. Or, for example, if when you sit with your family to eat and everything, okay, and you make a habit that you don't start eating until everybody is around the table, okay, that is another example. They know that there is a benefit in doing that. Or nobody gets up from the table or from wherever you sit to eat until everybody is finished, and they say the prayers it's to thank Allah for what He has given them for that particular meal. Therefore, it's how you as a parent you make the children get used to, and therefore they will also eventually, or hopefully in a very early stage, start following you in doing the same thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sheikh Hamad, I think, sorry to interrupt you, I think today, in today's world, most of the couples or parents are confused. Themselves are not on the same page. So the father will be raising the child in a different manner, and the mother will be raising the child in a different manner. They never sit and talk and discuss on common terms that this is how we want to raise our children. These are the requirements, these are the qualities, these are the standards that we maintain in our household. So for example, when the father is around, nobody will start eating unless everybody's on the table, and nobody will get up unless the father, let's say, is the first person to leave. But when he's not around, nobody maintains that standard. So the child becomes confused. Are these the standards of the house, or are these only standards to be implemented when dad is at home? So I think that to go back from the beginning is the couples have to understand each other, and they have to be on the same page. Otherwise they'll create a confusion for the child, and the child would not know what is the right way to follow, and what is the things that will create those qualities of leadership within themselves. And the other thing is that when parents fail to identify that their child is a leader, you give a very good example is when the child is used to pick up the plate after finishing the food and taking it to the right place. Let's say, for example, the kitchen. Now, if a child instructs another child to do that, that's a leadership skill. And if the parents can't identify that, then that skills might fade away.
Your comment is quite valid, but it goes back to what I've said earlier on.
Yeah.
That the parents are, at the moment, they are very focused on material values. And the parents don't spend a lot of time together, maybe. Imagine somebody, a wife and a husband, who are both working shift works. One is going in the morning, the other one is going in the evening, and maybe for a week they don't see each other.
Yeah.
What do you expect of the child? Okay, that is a very big problem.
Yeah.
You see now, parents being confused. Maybe you are right, or maybe they just don't have time for it, or they just think that the work is more important. Now, take for example what's happening in Scandinavian countries. Scandinavian countries, I understand. I'm not quite 100% sure, but I understand that when a couple have a child, a newborn, both parents get a very long leave. Very long, I think up to 2 years. They are off work to make sure that both parents bring the child, bring up the child together, helping each other and making sure that the child gets the right attention. Where do we see it here in our society?
Yeah.
And people need to sacrifice. There is a time when people need to sacrifice, to say, okay, I'm taking off for 1 year. I need to make sure that that I need to be at home until my child has given up breastfeeding or whatever. We see people here now rushing from PDO, getting back to their houses because it is feeding time. Okay, it has been given 2 hours. She has been given 2 hours to feed the baby.
Yeah.
Now, does she go back to feed the baby? Does she go somewhere else? Does she leave the nanny to make the milk and bottle feed the child?
Yeah.
So it's very important that the link between the parent and the child, and bring the child in the right way to instill the qualities of a society that we want in this life, and to make sure that that particular child has the basics. I always go to the basics. It's not if you see a child who is misbehaving. For example, let us say we both go to mosques,
Yes.
and we see parents bring their children there, And there are some children who will sit there and very quiet
next to their dad.
parent and everything. And we see parents, they just walk into the mosque, they don't know if the child is following behind him or not following behind him.
Yeah.
And then they end up behind praying, so-called praying for the children at the back rows of the mosque and just making noise.
Yes.
That is a parent's fault. It's not a child's fault.
Yes.
You might have noticed that I've been smiling now for quite a while. I've been imagining myself in Scandinavia, and I have 5 children, so 10 years out of work. What a thought!
Well, if you are bringing 5 children in 10 years to become good citizens in any country, and there will be benefit to the society, then maybe that is a good job that you have done, rather than sitting in the office or in the factory producing disposable goods.
Yes.
Absolutely.
And also the concept of working at home. Many of these countries, you can be very, very productive at home while raising your children, but maybe these type of systems are not implemented, and we have a long way to go when it comes to this. I just wanted to comment on one thing, is that the contradiction that some of the parents nowadays live, and they talk about we work for the future of our children. Yes. And whatever we do, it's for the sake of our children. And they fail to understand that the future of your children is the time that you spend with them.
And not the material.
Quality time, not the material, not the house, not the schools that you take them to, not the fancy clothes, not the toys.
Yeah.
No, it's the time that you teach them the morals and the manners and the qualities to make them good citizens. So this is a total contradiction. As you said, who sacrifices these days? I've witnessed maybe 1 or 2 women with us at work. When they gave birth, they took 1.5 year unpaid leave. They said, no problem, Allah will reward me another income, and we will struggle with my husband's salary, but I will have quality time with that child for 1.5 year or 2 years. And very rare you find people like this. They said, how are we going to live? People are worried today about the subsistence, which is rizq, and this is something provided by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, whether you want it or not. Even the unbelievers, Allah provides for them the rizq. So why are we calling ourselves believers, and then we don't believe that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will provide for us, and all our priorities are mixed up?
Is running after money. That's absolutely true, dear listeners. You can call us on our phones, 24602058. That's 24602058. We'll take a very short break, and we'll be back with Sheikh Hamad Al-Mahrouqi to talk about leadership again. So please remember our number, 24602058.
The Modern Family.
The Modern Family.
With good self-esteem. I think my daughter has pretty good self-esteem, but one of the fascinating things about being a parent is that there's nature and nurture, and I don't know what's the percentages, but she's come into the world with certain crosses to bear, so to speak, emotionally, that are hers, no matter what I do. For instance, early on she displayed this. She could be embarrassed easy. And I remember the first time I saw it, she was like 1 or something, and I could tell she was really embarrassed. And I was like, how does she even understand that? How could she know what embarrassment is? Like, what does she have that? So it clued me into the fact that there's stuff she's got to deal with that's going to be on her own. That said, love and encouragement and positive energy and reflecting back and looking her in the eye. I think not talking down, not baby talking. I never did it. And not overcompensating, but being complimentary and supportive of things she does, and taking the time to really look and nurturing it and telling her and sometimes being effusive, but clearly effusive about something, how great you did a great job, you really worked hard, and I can tell. And it's really amazing. She wrote something the other night that I was blown away by. And I was truly blown away, and so I just let her know it. I let her have it, so I think she has a pretty good sense of self-esteem, but she also has her issues, and she's going to battle them, and she's got to work them out on her own, and hopefully she'll come to me and I'll be able to provide some, insight.
The Modern Family. The Modern Family.
Dear listeners, welcome back to the Modern Family. You can call us on 24602058. That's 24602058. And our topic today is how to create little leaders. We have a caller. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
How are you, brother?
Fine, thank you. How are you?
Alhamdulillah.
Ramadan Mubarak to you.
Ramadan Mubarak to you too.
Okay. Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh Hamad.
Alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Yeah, Sheikh Hamad, I want to ask a question about leadership at home in terms of, raising the children with the new technology. Now, how much the children can be access to modern technology like phones, iPads, computer, internet, any new technology these days, especially when they're at school and then after school. In one case, like children of probably below sixth grade, so that's 12 years, would there be access to cell phones by their own? So, I don't know, in these days maybe you find lots of children have these phones and some others they don't. So which one is the best for perfect family?
First of all, let me clarify one thing. The internet, for example, internet has got lots of good things that the child or even a grown-up can benefit out of it. Therefore, it is the control that the parent needs to put how much internet is exposed to a child. And if it is used for educational purposes, I think this is where quality time can also play a big role between the parent and the child when they go through the internet at that age. And therefore you supervise them, you teach them how to use the internet, and it is important that they grow up knowing that, because this is the whole world now is based on new technologies. Now, as far as telephones and other things is concerned, again, why a 6-year-old child needs a telephone? I personally don't believe that to give a child at that age a telephone is a good thing. And I don't believe in bringing children to give them things just because the next door neighbor has got one.
Yeah.
I think we will be just imitating mistakes that other people make, and we do it because we want our child to be similar to the neighbor's child.
A society of replication.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And as we said earlier in the program, that it's very important for the parent to draw a line where he says no and he means no. You don't say no as a father, for example, and the mother becoming more soft-hearted as usual. Then comes, oh no, you cannot say no to our child. You have to give him also because so-and-so's child has got it.
Mm-hmm.
Therefore, it's very important, two things here. First of all, when you use the internet, at a young age, the parents supervise them. If you cannot completely block the areas that you don't want them to access, and also to make them understand why you are telling them no. The internet is full of good things, and I think we should focus on those good things, and like everything else in the society. Have I answered your question?
Yeah, Sheikh, exactly. However, just to emphasize on the phone part, because I completely agree with the internet. Children, even from age of 2, they can be access to internet. But with the control, of course, with their parents. Now, the phone, because it was a discussion, actually, of my 12-year-old son asking me for a phone. And I said, no, and because in our way of leadership in the house, is really, I give phones to my sons and children when they are at 15.
Yeah.
Because I think they can be mature enough to choose between right and wrong at that age. Plus, we can also watch their phones.
We have a special two topics, inshallah, about technology. One called Cyber Kids in the following days, inshallah. One would be dedicated on internet, and the second show will be dedicated also on technology in general with children, which I think we will elaborate more on the topic. What I would like to add to your comments, very valuable comments, is that if we give our children too many technologies to use at a very early stage, what about interpersonal skills? Everybody knows now that the excessive use of technology means that children are losing their social skills and interpersonal skills, which are very essential to be leaders.
Yeah, the same thing also, taking away the reading part of it. So
Absolutely.
They don't read books.
Yes. Absolutely. And although you can read on tablets, but I'm always a big fan of reading books, going the authentic way and holding a book. It has a total different experience altogether. Yeah, the smell, the sense, the touch, and everything with the book is totally different. Thank you very much for your call and for your comments. And please keep listening to us and call us. We would like to have.
And follow the shows that are coming this week, next week, about Cyber Kids, inshallah, and you'll have a lot of information.
Which day is that?
If you could follow us, please, on Twitter. You could follow me on Twitter. I do send messages from every day. I summarize the shows. I also send the title of the next show, so I'll be able to send that, and you'll be able to see it, inshallah. You could follow me on Wail, that's WAIL Harrasi, HARRASI, that's WAIL HARRASI, and we do have a lot of discussions on Twitter as well, so it would be good to have you there and involved in those discussions.
It would be my pleasure as well. And what about linking? Do you have anything on linking?
Yes, I have an account on LinkedIn. You can find me at Hatem Al Abdussalam. So you can follow me on LinkedIn as well.
Oh, okay, fine. That's very good.
Okay. Your name, brother? We didn't get your name?
It's Abdullah bin Saif al-Husni.
Abdullah bin Saif al-Husni. Thank you very much, Abdullah. Jazakallah khair.
Jamia, inshallah.
Ma'as-salam.
Okay, I've just looked at the timetable, Abdullah. The show about cyber kids, cyber children, is on the 25th of Ramadan, which will fall, I think, on the 23rd of July. And the other show is Tech Children, which is on the 19th of Ramadan, which will fall on the 17th of July. Thank you.
Inshallah. Yes. So we talked, Sheikh Hamid, about the role of parents in the first half an hour of the show. We would like to talk now about the role of the education system on creating leaders.
Yes, I think the past half an hour was very good on focusing on the role of the parents in the home, but also the institutions in the country. Each institution in the country, and particularly the educational system, has a very, very important role to play. And we need to look, maybe if needs to be looked, the syllabuses that are taught in school from the very early stages. I know that the syllabus which is taught at school, even at grade 10 now, is very tough on science subjects.
Yeah.
Compared with what I did at that similar grade. And everybody is complaining how tough it is. Fine, I'm not complaining about that right now. But I think we need to make sure that there are other subjects that included in those syllabus and curriculums, where a child learns certain things which are not a common sense.
Yeah.
Although sometimes you'll see things and you do things, you consider them just it's a common sense to do it. Yes. But for a child, very difficult to recognize that at a very early stage. And I think the educational institutions have got a very, very important role for our children. the child has got two areas when he grown up, which is very good. It's the teacher and the parent. And sometimes the teacher plays even a bigger role than the parent. If the child goes to school and spends 8 hours there, and it may be that the teacher spends more time with the child than the parent himself.
Yes.
Therefore, what the teacher teaches is very important. And we need, for example, if you look at history is a very important subject. I mean, Oman, for example, if you take a typical example, it has got a great history. It goes back hundreds of years, and if not 1,000 years or more. And it has produced in the past lots of leaders.
Great leaders.
Who led the country. And it is because of that background, in my opinion, we see now, and the country is up to now, is producing, is under great leadership, and we are a role example in many aspects, in political aspects, in the region and internationally also.
Yes.
And therefore, it's very important that the child it comes up knowing where we came from. I think it is believed that any country or any person who doesn't have a past doesn't have a present, and therefore doesn't have a future.
Yeah.
And this is very true in even bringing up our children. I mean, talking about leadership qualities that Oman is playing now, I was very even surprised very recently to see a clip where the U.S. Secretary of State John Kerry was thanking His Excellency Yusuf Alawi for the advice given to the United States, and John Kerry was saying that they need to continue to consult with Oman.
Yes.
Yeah.
That doesn't come out of vain. It came out of the leading qualities that our leaders have got, and the past that we have had.
Absolutely.
Therefore, a child needs to know about all these things.
Yeah.
And
to have a sense of pride.
To have a sense of pride, to have to know the importance of history, and to himself maybe he'll start thinking, okay, how am I creating history as an individual?
And I think,
when he grows up, it's very important, and that is, on the some part of the social side, but at the same time, on religious side, how all the Islamic Islam religion, how was it spread? From these very humble beginnings, how was it spread, and at the peak of the Islamic empire and everything. To understand that, to understand the real meaning of Islam also is very important.
And also there you had many symbols of leadership.
Exactly.
Who were very successful.
But also to understand the real meaning of Islam.
And rather than teaching just a sequence of events, it is the lessons learned from these, and how we can adapt these lessons into our time today. Because when students, I remember when we were students, we never related to the events, to the past events. We were never taught to even relate to the past events on how we could implement those today. It's only like storytelling. This is what happened, and that's it.
Actually, while we were taught the subjects to pass, and even sometimes maybe some of the teachers told us just to ignore this chapter because it won't come in the exam. So I think we did not learn the syllabus for the knowledge, for the sake of knowledge. We learned it for the sake of passing.
So it's a missed opportunity to create great leaders, to teach children something very important and very useful for them to become leaders. That is about the past, and that is about the history. What about teaching them information relevant to what we anticipate the future would be? The concerns that we adults have today.
Okay, before I say anything on that, I would like also to continue on the importance of education, and not just the syllabus.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, the quality of the teachers.
Yeah.
The quality of the teachers. Teaching, in my opinion, is an art, and you need people who wants to teach. You see.
Yes.
And just like nursing. You need the patience to be a nurse. You need the patience to be a teacher. You say it takes a lot to be a good nurse, and therefore a good teacher. Myself, I don't have a lot of patience to be a good teacher. I cannot make it as a teacher. I'll be a complete failure. I know that.
So sometimes people have the knowledge, but they don't have the ability.
Yeah. So you need to have people in those positions who want to be teachers. We don't want people to, people become teachers maybe nowadays because they couldn't find anything else to do. And they want the 400 riyals or 500 riyals.
It's very funny you say that, because I was, actually 2 days ago, I watched a clip on the education system in Finland. In every class they have 3 teachers. They have 3 teachers in every class. And all teachers across the board, they all have master's degrees, not only bachelor's degrees. They must have master's degrees and beyond. Also, the teachers who graduate, who becomes a teacher in Finland, if you look at secondary school, the graduates of schools, who goes into teaching, it's the top percentile of graduates, the highest grades graduates. Here they go to either medicine, either they go to medicine or engineering. Yeah, medicine, engineering. But nobody goes from the highest percentile. Very, very rare that they would go to be teachers. And this is a common problem. It is here and in the United States as well. It's that the lower percentile go into teaching. But in Finland, they have created an amazing, it's the top in the world in terms of education. The highest percentile of graduates of school, they go into becoming teachers.
Well, I'm glad you mentioned that, because the other thing which is on my mind that I was going to bring up is we have a lot of children here who are geniuses, who you hear all the time in the televisions, in the newspaper and everywhere. So-and-so has got the highest mark in the country, so-and-so has got the highest mark in Dakhiliya or other regions of the country, and then they arrange competitions. They go to other countries overseas, like in the Gulf, and a child becomes the highest, the best child for certain subject or many subjects for the whole region. Now, after getting that piece of paper, the award, what is happening after that?
Yeah.
Are there any institutions anywhere in our country or in the Gulf where they need to look after those intelligent or super intelligent children? They need to have opportunity to grow their minds even bigger and to get wider experiences and to expose themselves into
different fields.
Now, this is something which needs to be looked at, and there you start recognizing real leaders and filter out the normal and the intelligent and the super intelligent. Recently I read in the internet a child, I think it was in Australia, a 15-year-old child who developed a blood sample process where it will recognize if somebody is already infected by cancer cells or not.
Yeah.
A 15-year-old, and he was given every encouragement. The laboratory was set up for him the way he wanted it, and it's just a matter of now. I think matter of months or so before he owns a patent for that, and the world will start following it up. It came from a 15-year-old.
Yeah, I think it's 60 times quicker in identifying than the current process that has been used for decades.
Yes.
And it's much more accurate than all the systems available and used by top medical experts.
So we need people who are innovative like that to be recognized by the
and given the facilities,
and the resources to do things, which I don't think it is available. And also these facilities to be known. It's not just because you happen to be there and you heard about it.
I think, Sheikh Ahmed, the wise leadership of His Majesty has implemented some of that. But unfortunately, people at power do not take it through to the next level. It doesn't have to be His Majesty to do everything. He does an initiative, and people should know, okay, this is the way His Majesty thinks, so this is the way we should carry on doing and take it to the next level. For example, Sultan schools. Sultan School receives bright children from across the regions in Oman,
and given
in scholarships from His Majesty.
Yes.
Yeah, scholarships from His Majesty.
Yes.
That any bright kid from families, poor families who do not have access to education that's given to the elite, take them to Sultan School, and it's all paid until they graduate from they take them, I think, from year 5 until they graduate from national diploma.
Yes.
Yeah, or secondary school. However, the next step, what does happen? Well, what happens? There is no such a program to take the elite students, to have proper mentors from people high in the government, and mentor these people to groom them to be leaders in the future.
The other thing, Dr. Wael, is that we are facing a stigma of the people who have abilities. You know, they always constrain them with the qualification. Some students are not good at studies, but they have special abilities that can be, developed into something big. So they are always left back because, for example, they will not progress well in their studies, or they don't have a degree, or they don't have a diploma, something like that. So these people are specialized in a special field. You need to, to focus on that, the ability that they have. Which is not,
what you mean is that we tend to focus on
formalities,
analytical intelligence, and that's one form of, I think, 7 forms of intelligence, and we tend to ignore the rest. We tend to focus on analytical intelligence, but the majority of the leaders, if not all leaders in the world, are not those who have analytical intelligence, but those who have emotional intelligence, interpersonal skills. Yeah, Harvard University conducted a study, and all the leaders in the world, all successful businessmen, were either dropouts of schools, universities, but they became great leaders.
Yeah, we have a lot of those examples around the world, particularly in the Western world, where they are humble enough also to recognize that they were a dropout, and they don't mind admitting it.
Yes.
One of the most popular one, I think, right now is Richard Branson.
Yeah, Virgin
Atlantic
Airlines,
and he's got this Virgin label for everything that he does.
Yeah.
And he now has built up one of the airlines in the world that even now competing with British Airways, which is supported by government and so on and so forth. And he went up to literally challenge British Airways on everything. Now, going back to our intelligent and super intelligent children, and the 15-year-old story about the cancer research, it's very important also that for the children, our children, when they want to experiment something, that they're allowed to do it.
Yeah.
Okay, even whether at school or at home, they to be encouraged. If the parents have got the way, they can afford to encourage them to buy them the kit or whatever, let them do it. Because without making decisions, I want to do this. Okay, whichever decision, nobody would learn from his ideas, because if you don't make a decision, you don't make whether it is right or wrong. You need, if you in your mind you want to make that decision, make it. Okay, and and if it is wrong, okay, you have learned from it. Okay, and now you will find some people sitting behind their desks and everything. They never make mistakes in their lives. Why? Because they don't take any decisions.
Yeah. They shy away.
Yeah, they shy away. As they say, they've got sloping shoulders. So everything goes on the shoulder and slides down to somebody else. They don't want to do it. Now, those type of people sometimes can be a hindrance to our children. Because if you have got a head of a department who is like that, and there is somebody, a subordinate, who's just joined in, a graduate, and he wants to come into a laboratory or anything of that sort and say, look, this is, we need to do this, we need to do that. And say, no, forget about that. We've been always doing it like this.
And you're a graduate.
And you just come today and you start telling us how to do it.
Yes.
It's happening in our society right now.
Yeah.
And this is wrong.
And it needs to change.
It definitely needs to change, because many graduates, they go to work in government institutions here, and they suddenly find that they've reached a dead end because there's nobody to encourage them.
Yeah.
Yes.
Even if they want to do it, and they will end up either making enemies or leaving. And there's this brain drain happening in Oman. Good engineers, maybe good doctors and everything, who wants to prosper and to have a proper professional career, they can easily say, all right, that's it, I'm off.
The road is blocked.
Yeah, the road is blocked, and I cannot prosper. Therefore, we are losing.
Yeah.
We are losing brains, we are losing leaders, because of somebody sitting in an administrative role somewhere, who is maybe looking after doctors or engineers or anything, who doesn't wish to be challenged.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's all fearful of his own backside. Oh, maybe this, if I allow him to do this, it will what you call damage my own integrity. That somebody, my subordinate has come up with something like this. On the contrary, if you encourage these people to do what they want to do, and give them the facilities, and give them the incentive and the encouragement, maybe all they need is just a yes. You don't need to spend money, or you don't need yourself to be involved. Mm-hmm. Just give them the yes, you can do that, do it, yes, very good idea. Just tell them that.
That's absolutely great, Sheikh Hamid. We'll take a very short break, and we'll come back to this. We would like to remind our listeners that our numbers to call are 24602058. We are live, and we are here to listen from you as well, and to hear your comments or questions. So call us on 24602058. See you after the break.
The Modern Family.
The Modern Family. The way you teach your children conflict resolution is actually quite simple. You don't teach them conflict resolution when they're in the middle of a conflict. That's when everybody's emotions are running high and they flip their lid. They literally flip their lid. That's when they can't think. That's why we have that expression. So that's not the time to teach them conflict resolution. We teach them conflict resolution as if it's a game or a fun activity at a time where the kids are actually either getting along or everything is just copacetic. You say to the children, we're going to learn a new game. It's called the peace chairs. And you sit each of the kids in chairs. And they should be cozy and comfortable. You tell the children, let's pretend that you're fighting. Let's pretend that you're fighting over, there's one Yu-Gi-Oh card and you're fighting over it. How do you think we can work this out? And so through practice, you help them work it out. You narrate what one kid feels, you narrate what the other kid feels, and then you throw out, wow, we have two children and only one card. What are we going to do? And then, because it's a game and kids want to win, they try to figure out the most creative solutions. And one of the things they could say is, let's take turns, or I can have it first, or you can have it first, or something even more creative like, let's play store, and you'll be the salesman, and I'll be the customer, and I'll buy the Yu-Gi-Oh card. This is the way you teach conflict resolution. And then when it happens in real life that they are fighting, you can say, peace chairs, guys. And they know that there's going to be a smart mom or dad there narrating what the kids are going through, that everybody's needs are important, and it's going to be settled in a fair way.
The Modern Family.
The Modern Family.
Dear listeners, welcome back to The Modern Family. Today's topic is a very hot topic on leadership and creating little leaders. Responsibilities at home, responsibilities at institutional level to look after children and raise them to be great leaders. When we talk leaders, we don't talk about being managers only, but leaders at home, leaders as husbands, as brothers, as fathers, leaders as individuals in societies, good neighbors, take needs, qualities that are used by great leaders. So you can call us on 24602058, 24602058. We have a caller. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Yes, who's this?
Yeah, it's Abdullah Al-Husni again.
Abdullah Al-Husni. Nice to have you back.
Yeah, thank you very much. I just heard you talking again about it's very very, very nice topic, which is really on my concern about, one of them is teachers at school, how they raise children, and then also the children innovation or inventions.
Yes.
So, yeah. In terms of the teachers, actually, I'm not sure what are the process now, or the criteria of selection for teachers. To me, I asked one of the officials at the Ministry of Education and Higher Education, and there was none.
Yeah.
It's just you like the subject, Arabic, maths, whatever, you score this much of marks, then you're in.
Yeah.
Now, what can we do about this? Is there any criteria of assessment for teachers? Because, again, like the Sheikh said, it's a nursery thing. It's not only being a teacher, standing in front of children, being a father, being a coach, being an instructor, being everything.
I think the criteria, yes, as you said,
a message.
Yeah, the criteria now is dependent on marks only.
Being a father, going to the school, and I was surprised one time visiting my children at school, the teacher saying to me, this class is obsolete. It's completely mock-up. None of them will be good. So I said to him, so what's your part then? You just tell me the problem. What is the solution?
Yeah.
And I said, no solution. It's just finished. They're just waiting for them to do their exams. That's all.
Subhanallah.
Yeah, so, yeah.
And this is a teacher.
What is really the solution here, if you can give us advice on these?
May I ask, what was the age group of the students he was teaching, he was referring to?
Again, I have various ages at school. I have kids at elementary and also Thanawiya.
No, I mean this particular teacher, when he said this class has no hope whatsoever.
Age of 12. He was 12, so 6th class, I think.
So at the age of 12, he decided that the future of these little children have no future whatsoever. Subhanallah.
Yeah, that's what really made me very upset about one of the teachers. And to be honest, it's not just one teacher saying that. We were like a group of fathers, parents, I mean, in the headmaster office, and there were like 5 other teachers. When he said that, everybody like nod their heads down, which it means they agree with him. Because if one class has a problem, then they don't have a solution for it. It's just like I said, okay, you tell me the problem now. What do you have to fix this?
Yeah.
They said nothing.
Yeah.
And I said, maybe we can get advice from somebody else or from the ministry.
Noted,
no,
Abdullah.
This class, maybe next year, what we will do is we'll spread them through to the other classes and see what happens.
Yeah, noted. You said you have another point as well on innovation?
Yeah, about children, again, if we just, we don't take care of the children who have really innovation or invention.
Yeah.
So there are no clubs, or maybe there is one science club, I know, but maybe it's not just science children have.
Yeah.
Lots of other things they have, practical.
Yeah.
Maybe, like the chef said, it's not theory. Some of the children, they cannot recite too much or remember things too much, but they're
good with their hands. Yeah, they can build things.
They can make things and break things and fix things. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And then, these kind of things, it has to be developed. It has to be taken care of, so that maybe there is something behind it that the children wants to make.
Thank you very much, Abdullah.
What we think is the getting higher marks, and that's all. If they don't get that, then they are a complete failure.
Thank you very much, Abdullah, for your comments. Very valuable comments again, and we will address them, inshallah.
Inshallah.
Shukran. Sheikh Hamad, again, he's talking about criteria for choosing the teachers. And you know, and everybody knows that the criteria is that if you have marks, if you have specific marks, you just go and be teachers. And it's entirely the criteria to choose teachers. It's not passion. Yeah,
I think the system needs to be reviewed as a whole.
Yeah.
Because at the moment, as we said before, for example, 90% and above, they can go into medicine until the slots for medicines are full. And even with 90%, then you'll say, okay, maybe you can go to engineering.
Yes.
And it goes down until some people, they haven't got to, maybe somebody 70% could make it as a good doctor.
Yes.
But he's not given a chance, you know. And then at the same time, okay, now you, the people with 60%, the only thing now which is left for you
is to become teachers.
Either to become a teacher or go into agriculture.
Which is agriculture is our main economy. We would like to build the whole economy for the country.
Out of agriculture.
And therefore, it's the system itself that doesn't give the importance to the teaching. If they made it that, okay, if you want to become a teacher, a good teacher, you need to have 80 and 90% and higher, similar to the doctors and others. You know, it will show the importance of how to select a teacher. Maybe it will help, and to bring up our own children.
Because the teachers are the ones who are going to create the doctors, engineers and other things. That is the first step.
I think, Sheikh Hamid, I think they don't sell it properly. The way they present it to children or school leavers, the way they present it determines how these youngsters choose their fields as well. Because as you said, these slots are filled, so you can only choose agriculture or this. So it's already mentioned in a very derogatory way. Whether if they're actually smart enough, the university is smart enough and utilizes the media and choose a champion from each department, and then they market it during the time when students finish their exams, market it in the media in the most beautiful way. Come to the agriculture department. This is what we can do. This is the future. Yeah, and present it in a very beautiful way, day in, day out on TV. People will buy in.
I will quote. I'll give you an example. It's a very old example, but I'll give you an example which I can support with evidence 100%. Which is sometimes we here, the system fails to recognize leaders because this is the system.
Yeah.
Okay. I know of a person who went to study in the States and specifically wanted to come back to Oman to teach English. Okay. And went there and qualified as a teacher in the States to come back to Oman to teach English. When this person got back to Oman, wanted to teach English, and she was told that, you cannot just go and become a teacher. You have first to do what they call here in Oman ta'ahil tarbawi.
Yeah.
Okay, to become a teacher. Fine. So the person went to register for that, and when he got there, and it was told, okay, where is your secondary school certificate from Oman? He said, I didn't have it from Oman. I've done my studies in the US, so I don't have a secondary school certificate. No. So no, in that case, we cannot accept you. You have to have a secondary school certificate from Oman to attend that ta'ahil tarbawi course to become a teacher. Okay. Now, that particular person could not teach and ended up doing something else completely. Now, my big question at the time, I even challenged the Undersecretary of Ministry of Education at the time, said, all these foreigners who come to Oman and teach English, they have a ta'ahil tarbawi from Oman? I said, that is something else, but for an Omani must have that.
I have another thing to add about this, the undermining of the Omani talents. We'll mention this. We'll talk about this after the call. We have a caller. Assalamu alaikum.
عليكم السلام ورحمة الله وبركاته. كيف الحال وائل؟
Alhamdulillah. Fine. Thank you very much. How are you doing?
Alhamdulillah. I'm good. I'm so happy and proud to hear my father through the radio.
MashaAllah.
And the first thing I wanted to say is that we are so happy and grateful for the way he raised us in the family. And he made us in a way we can face any challenges in this world. Alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah.
And and another thing is that when you talk about leadership, I have just a small comment about this.
Yeah.
That leadership might have different tasks in the world or in the society. It can be at work, and it can be starting from the family.
Yeah.
It starts from the family, and then later on at some age it goes to the school, where he gets the seeds from the family, and then again those seeds are brought up from the school, and then it ends up with the high school, and then college, and then the society as a whole. And so that is another issue when you discuss about leadership in society. But to me, I felt my role model is actually my father. When I see him, he is leading the whole family. He acts like a father for the whole.
And when you talk family, I would like to emphasize, Samira, here is that when you talk about family, it's not his wife and children. It's actually the whole greater family, includes anybody that is related to him in any way.
Yes.
And
so I want
this
him
is something
to elaborate on that, and to tell us what is the secret behind it, how he was able to be, everyone in the family can seek his help, and he has his open door and open heart to everybody.
Yeah.
And Jazakum Allahu khairan, and I wish him Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to reward him al-Jannah.
Ameen.
Everybody, inshallah.
Ameen.
Okay. Thank you, Ayat.
Thank you very
Sheikh
much.
Hamad, you have a big question there. I think we need an answer.
It's very difficult to answer that, because this is like a chef. You have a recipe, and the recipe is secret.
And I think in leadership you don't need to be selfish. You have to share the secret with people.
No, I mean, first of all, I'm very happy to hear my own daughter saying what she said, and to me, whatever I do or I did, I don't know, it didn't come out of a specific book that I read or a specific training that I've had. I think it goes back to how I was raised. Because how my father raised me. This is why I emphasized about the basics of raising children.
Start at home.
As I said, during my time, we were raised the hard way. And maybe if I have to have children now and start bringing up again children, maybe I'll change a bit in... I was thinking maybe I'll change a bit in raising my children the more modern way, like Dr. Weil once. But having had my own daughter now saying that, I don't think I want to change. I think it was the right way all the way.
Yeah.
Anyway, I think it's the model of your own parents. In our household, our father was very open-hearted to everybody. And he used to go out of his way to do things for people. And I think the way it came from for me also.
It was naturally for you to follow the footsteps of your dad.
And I was very close to him. That he used to spend a lot of time, with me. When he used to go to places, he'll take me with him. The only place I'll go alone is school. Everywhere else at home, he's there. Therefore, he will take me. Even majalis, for example, the way how to behave in front of elders, how to treat elders, all sorts of things.
Yeah.
You cannot pinpoint. It's one thing that my father did, which really helped.
I think what you're saying
it's a lifestyle altogether.
It's a lifestyle altogether.
What you're saying is very, very true. I heard even Sheikh Alfan Al-Isri saying that in Japan now, most of the CEOs, they would have a shadow with them. They would have a student, a graduate, who will follow them every single place they go. And this student will their job is only to watch what the CEO does. That's how they make future leaders. And what you have said proves what this theory is talking about, is that you just followed your dad and you watched what he did. And that automatically, without maybe sometimes even him speaking to you directly, telling you what to do, you just follow what he did, and it molded you into who you are today.
Yeah. Just to go back, we'll take a step back just before the call when we talked about a very important aspect of undermining Omani talent sometimes.
Yes.
It doesn't happen everywhere. Alhamdulillah, we are improving. We are improving in many areas. But I have a very recent incident that I know of, where An Omani teacher wanted a job in one of the major private schools in Oman.
Yes.
Now, the private school were under the impression that she was not an Omani, and they offered her in the region about 2,000 riyals salary. As soon as they realized she was an Omani, are you really Omani? From your accent, we can't say that you're an Omani, because the whole interview was in English. When they knew the Omani, then in that case, I think the salary would go down. We'll give you another package. It will be 400 riyals. So, talent-wise, she's up there in the elite. She's up there, she's top, she's recognized for her skills, but when they come to the realization that she's an Omani, then you get this package because you're not worth it.
To emphasize to what you have said, Wael, and also to tell our listeners that we're not just bluffing in today's show, it's fact, and it's affecting the country.
It's fact, and I know the person personally.
A few months back, there was a big article in the front page of the local newspaper saying that they did a statistics on the Omanis who are in the leadership roles, who are receiving the salary, the basic salary above 2,000 riyal. There were 1,900 Omanis out of the population. And the expatriates who are receiving the same package and above, they were 38,000. This is an indication to us. Are we lacking leaders? Don't we have leaders?
I think Oman is becoming the cheap labor of Oman, and that just totally kills the self-esteem and any desire to be a leader. And it echoes what you, Sheikh Hamad, said earlier.
I, from my experience, and I'm telling you from my experience in my previous positions I've held, I've seen it. People are afraid to give opportunities to the younger generation because they lack confidence in themselves. And they're all afraid about that if this young man will get up and prosper, he will take my seat. And that's a very, very selfish attitude, which unfortunately it is in our society. And sometimes the Omanis are our own worst enemies.
Yes.
If I may use that expression.
Yeah.
You know, and it's very unfortunate, really very unfortunate. And for example, if you ask me today, what is the best thing I've achieved in my career until I left the government? It's one thing, training Omanis.
Yeah.
It's not the position that I held. It's not all the, what to call this, the being in the limelight and everything. Training of the Omanis and seeing them progress gave me the best satisfaction I've ever had. And it so happens recently, last Kharif, I went to Salalah. Okay? And some people approached me, they were talking to me, they know me, they call me by the name. And I didn't know these guys, I forgot them. I recognized very vaguely. And I said, oh, we are your students.
Subhanallah.
Huh? And they told me, which courses and everything they went through, and I remembered them. But I really, it gives me lots of satisfaction when, to meet them and to tell me about their career and where they were now and what they were doing. Therefore, it needs more initiatives from Omani institutions and people in position to give opportunity to younger Omanis.
And I remember I was once in one of the Majlis with yourself, and we met one of very highly ranked officer who came to you and thanked you because he said, well, if you remember, it's because of you that I'm here today, and all the confidence and training that you were our role model. So this is how we need to treat everybody to become to reach their full potential, whether we are at home with our children or at work with other people's children. Yeah, we need to remember that people who work with us, the young Omanis, they are somebody else's children, so automatically they are our children because we are all Omanis, we are sons, and daughters of this country. So we need to do...
Definitely, we have to give the support to His Majesty so that he can achieve his dreams through us.
Yes.
Okay, he is one man, he cannot do everything. Okay, he has to achieve his dreams through us, And we have to give unquestioningly, because when just what Dr. Wiley said now is that our children is not the ones we are at home. Everybody is our child.
Yes.
We go back the old days where a child in any village
Belongs to the family.
belongs to everybody in the village. Where if he is seen doing some nuisance in the outside, in the road, everything, anybody can go and spank him.
Yes.
Or belt him, whatever, and tell him. And so therefore the child grows up respecting every elder in the village.
Yes.
Today we lost that.
And the whole village gels together.
Yeah,
really,
gels
really
together
tight.
and raising them. And the children, they are afraid to do things, to misbehave outside, because whoever sees them will go and tell their father, or maybe they will punish them. This is unfortunately now it is gone completely. Disappeared. There are some fathers, even if you tell them that I have seen your child doing this and that, the first thing that will get angry at you and tell you, sorry, my child can never do such a thing.
Oh, it's not your business.
It's not your business.
Yeah.
And this is something which is changing, and it's not changing for the better, unfortunately. And we need to go back to the basics.
Yeah.
And, I always go back to the basics in everything.
Yeah. Today when I came to the show, I was expecting to go too much into details of complexities and talking about self-esteem and talking about that. But the way you drove this whole show today, and the way you took it back to the basics, it just made me feel that it's not about complexities. It's about being simple. It's about being simple and going back to the roots. And the modern family is not about reinventing the wheel. Modern family is about grasping what is valuable from the past. Islam is 500. The Quran is 1500 years old, but it's the modern thing. It's the modern way of life. It will always be modern. So we need to really hold on tight to anything that we have learned from our elders, from you and from the elders before, and use it.
I think the message for today is do not belittle people's abilities and give them an opportunity. I personally know a lady who used to work as a secretary, and then nobody believed in her abilities, and then she quit her job and became an assistant CEO, a deputy CEO in another company. And she achieved that nobody else could have achieved. Yeah. And when she used to work as a secretary, her boss used to say that the only training that you can have is just typing or PowerPoint or things like that. And this is the least this is the best that you can do. But she believed in herself, and she proved that no, I am a leader and I can become a leader also. Yeah. So do not belittle people's ability.
About belittling, I'll just quickly, during my training in engineering training, I did engineering workshop training, and one of the things which I could never do actually, is welding. Mm. I couldn't do a proper weld. Mm. And since that day I've learned to respect welders and everybody else in their trade, which I have no idea in. Yeah. You see a welder doing his job, and you'll think it's so simple. Yes. Try to do it.
It's a skill.
It's a skill, and it's an earned skill, just like it's an acquired skill. Yeah. And we need to respect all those people.
You know, Dr. Weil, nowadays the trend is in many big organizations, especially in the oil and gas industry, is that you have a lot of talented Omanis. Yeah. And their organizations, they never value them. And they leave the organizations from being clerks and they become directors in another organizations. So we would like to send a message across to these organizations that take care of these talented people.
Give them opportunity.
Give them opportunity. Give them empowerment and let them prove themselves. Otherwise you're going to lose them. And other organizations, we're going to hunt them down and give them the chance.
And stop managing by committees. That's very important. Okay. Make the individuals accountable for what they are doing and what they are responsible for. Yeah. Committees are the worst thing.
Committees are the worst thing, but my message would be for parents back at home with little children from very early ages. I wouldn't want to define any age. My personal advice is that if you see a child that is so mischievous, so energetic, it's not always a bad thing. That could mean that this child has a leadership quality. So allow them to do what they want. Sometimes if they're so stubborn and they can't listen to you, yes, we need to teach them discipline and respect and to obey orders, but sometimes just let them do what they want to do, and maybe you would discover something new about your child. So being stubborn, always people ask about this as if it is a negative thing. It could be something, an opening, an eye-opener for you, that a child could be one day a leader. See sometimes your child from a different eye. If you always think that your child is showing or displaying negative behavior, try and see it positively. You might be hindering something very important, something that the child would like to develop into something really big. This is the end of our show today. I would like, on behalf of all of you, dear listeners, and on behalf of Hatem, to thank our dear guest today, my uncle. I'm very proud to have you here today. You are a great leader indeed, and from you we learn, and we have always learned, and we learned a lot today. So thank you very much.
We wished really if the show could have continued. The time went so fast. I wish if we continued for another hour or something.
So spontaneous, no effort whatsoever. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much for inviting me, and I wish you all the best in all your efforts, and Allah ma'akum inshallah.
Ameen. Dear listeners, we'll see you tomorrow inshallah, same time, live on 90.4 FM. From me, Wa'il al-Harrasi,
and Hatem al-Absalam.
Assalamu alaikum.
The modern family. The modern family. Let us bridge the gap between generations. Let us shape up the modern family.
I remember